Good evening and welcome to the Bellefleur Tire Shop Grand Falls Greenfoot Rapids pregame show. It's Friday, which means the Rapids are back in action tonight against the West Kent Steamers, a team who they lost to that kicked off their 5-game losing streak. And this is going to be an all-important matchup for a few different reasons tonight. We're going to talk about it, but there's a couple of things to get to beforehand, including the results of the voting for the Rapids Heat Index Player of the Week, which I am very proud to share that there were a lot of people who voted. And if you voted, thank you very much. Congratulations on picking the winner, which we're going to reveal at the end of the show. But first, like I mentioned, the Rapids are on a 5-game losing streak, looking to crack it, and we're going to get into all of the action on the pregame show here. So we'll start off with the tail of the tape. The Grand Falls Greenfoot Rapids boasting an 13-11-2 record on the season. The West Kent Steamers, on the other hand, with an 11-9-3-2, which is tied for third place with the Edmundston Blizzard, and we're going to talk a little bit about them as well. Top scorers for each team: Spencer Keynes with 11 goals for the Steamers, Nathan Plemondon-Michaud with 14, Nathan Grenier leading the way in assists with 21, Jonah Laird with 24, and then Grenier also leading the team in points with 30, and Laird with 34 on this season. So we've seen their top scorers head-to-head. We're going to give you a little bit of a preview once the broadcast starts as well. I know that I have a lot of stats and storylines to share with this as well. But right now, what's really going to matter tonight is the battle of the first-place power play versus the second-place penalty kill. We're going to jump into that in just a moment, but first off, their goals for and their goals against, drastically different. The Steamers have only scored 80 goals for this season. The Rapids, on the other hand, 103 goals for. The goals against, not quite as lopsided as you think. The Steamers, 102 goals against, and the Rapids, 97 goals against. You look at their power play percentage, I mentioned that it's going to be the best power play versus the second best penalty kill. The Steamers' power play currently sitting at 20.4%, just behind the Edmundston Blizzard at 22%, and then the Rapids at 22.1%. So that 0.1% better than the Edmundston Blizzard, but it still makes a difference nonetheless. You would never realize it, but they definitely do want to do some damage here. So the penalty kill, on the other hand, the stats are a little bit different, of course. I mentioned that the West Kent Steamers with the second-ranked penalty kill, in the division at 83.3%. The Rapids, on the other hand, in third, just behind them at 79.8%. Now, there's a lot of numbers to digest there, and we've been talking about this all season, right? Special teams are not quite everything. They have games where 5-on-5, they are still the better team. And I think that game against Campbellton really proved it. I mean, I talked about it a little bit in the post-game show last game, that it was very close. There were a lot of positive signs there, and they kept it, competitive through the course of the game. They didn't back down. They didn't collapse. They kept it competitive, and that's what they've been doing, especially in the last their 5-game losing streak that they're on right now. They at least kept the games close. The only game that they got blown out was Summerside. And honestly, I'm not talking about that right now. That's over. It's done. It's not going to happen anymore. They kept it competitive, and nonetheless are still ready to go out there every night and show why they're still a top team in the league. Yes, they're a couple of points behind the Chaleur Lightning right now. Yes, the Steamers and the Blizzard are breathing down their necks, but they're still showing that resilience. They're still showing that they got it and that they're able to play their game. It's just about cracking that losing streak now, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen either tonight or on Sunday. I have a feeling. They just got to find their rhythm. That's all it is just find your rhythm and make sure that you are limiting any chances against. So with that said, we're going to take you into the last couple of games. These two teams doing battle, of course, in a division rival matchup like we know them to. This is nothing that's new to anybody, really. We've seen these teams go at it before. It's always a tense game. Always games that There's a lot of physicality. Sometimes can be high scoring, other times very close. And it's something that I know a lot of people were very excited for. So the Rapids, currently in their last 10, 3-7-0. The Steamers, on the other hand, 5-3-0-2. And part of that is a loss last night to the Edmonton Blizzard after getting shut out 6-0. So the Steamers are going to want to win this for sure. And you know how bad the Rapids are going to want to win this, especially losing 5 in a row. They want to get back into the win column and catch up to Chaleur, who they've now played 2 more games than in the standings. And now they're only 2 points behind. To give you an idea of how close these standings are, Chaleur's in first place with 30 points. Grand Falls in second with 28. Edmundston and West Kent tied for third with 27. Campbellton with 25. And Miramichi at the bottom of the division with 22. So there is 8 points that separate first place from last place. I talked about it on the broadcast the last time. That's the equivalent of 4 wins. And with the way that these teams are playing, you go on a 4-game slide and the other teams in the division win 4 games in a row. That is a big, big, big issue. With the standings as close as they are, with the way that these teams are playing, the schedule from here on out does not get any easier. You got the big road trips out of the way. The month of November was arguably your busiest month of the entire season. Now it's time to really crack down and start to focus in on the bigger picture, which is the playoff push. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, playoffs? We talking about playoffs? Yes, I am talking about playoffs. Reason being, and you've heard me mention this till I turn blue in the face, we are days away from December, which means that the Christmas break is coming up very fast. And once the Christmas break comes up, that's going to be the midway point of the season. Then from there, you've got January, February, March. 3 months left of the regular season. And in January is the trade deadline. So again, with the division this close, you really, really, really need to start zeroing in on the fact that every game matters. And as soon as it gets to the halfway point of the year at the Christmas break, every game is going to matter. So, yes, they're 26 games into the season. They're more than halfway. But as soon as that Christmas break comes back, right, as soon as they come back in January, it's going to be full steam ahead for the playoffs. And that's something that I think a lot of people have been talking about is what's going to happen with this team and will they or won't they? They will. I will tell you this right now. It's going to be a good rest of the season to watch. And you want to make sure that you're in your seats for every single game. Because, again, this team has proven resilience is their language. They faced adversity. Yeah, they lost a few games in a row. But it's nothing that we haven't seen before, and they've pulled themselves out of it. This is a team that started off the season 6-0 and is in second place in the division. Second place in the division. Out of 26 wins, they've got 13. For those who are panicking, do not panic. Everything is going to be fine. I give you my word on that. Everything will be fine. And I know a lot of people are not going to believe me on that, but take my word for it. Everything's going to be fine. Calm down, take a deep breath, relax, and just enjoy the game. This is going to be real exciting. So, with that said, it's going to be an intense division matchup. It's going to be an intense division matchup tonight, as it always is. I would expect it to definitely be quite physical. I would not expect things to be overly high scoring. But then again, you never know with these teams, right? But I know one thing's for damn sure. It's going to be a close game because both teams are going to want to win this. And especially Grand Falls going on that 5-game losing streak, without a doubt, they're going to make it competitive. With that said, I am going to go into the second part of the show, and I want to just once again thank everybody who voted on the Heat Index Player of the Week there were a lot of votes, and I mean a lot of votes, and it got pretty close. But in the end, the fans spoke, everybody was excited, and they chose who the player of the week is for this week. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me bring on the Heat Index player of the week. So as you can see, it was very close. It came down to the wire, but Nathan Plemondon-Michaud making his first appearance on the Heat Index for the Rapids this season. So again, another guy who was very, very effective in these last 4 games as well. He had 2 goals and 3 assists for a total of 5 points. It was a very close one between Nathan Plemondon-Michaud and Braden Campbell, who finished second. It was very, very close. Now, that being said, there were so many effective players, and there were so many players who got a lot of votes this week, and I think we're going to keep doing that every week. It seems to have worked out well. You voted for who you thought was going to be the player of the week, and, well, it turned out very well from what we could say. Pretty safe to say, and I will say this, the voting was entirely close. There was a lot of great players that weren't on the list that got thrown in there, which was awesome to see. I love everybody throwing their hats in for who they thought was going to be the player of the week. It was just awesome. It was refreshing, and it's such a great team to see these guys go out and perform, especially with Nathan getting the honors this week. Just awesome to see everybody coming together, and not just playing as a team, but the community also getting to vote on the player as well. So with that said, I got to mention this a little bit because, yes, he got the popular vote, but also, yes, he was an effective player. You look at the last 4 games that the Rapids played, he was on the ice and performing well. They all were. But you look at the amount of times where he got on the board, whether it be an assist, a blocked shot, a goal, an incredible breakout pass on the forecheck, anything like that. He is a big part of this team, a big part of the top 6, a big part of the power play and why it's the first-ranked power play. I'll let you talk about that, but he's a big part of why the penalty kill, the power play, why 5-on-5 is so effective, because he's such a dynamic player. I've said this more than once. He is such an important key piece of this offense, and with him, guys like Braden Campbell, Jonah Leard, so many names on this team. On the back end, Julien Avignon-Bourque, Anton Topolnitsky, so many great players on this roster make up this team, but they all complement each other. That's the important thing, and that's what it comes down to when choosing the Heat Index player of the week, is not just your points, right? It's not just how many goals or assists you've scored. It's how effective you've been, right? And I wish I could crown multiple players at the same time. But you guys have spoken. You got the results in. And I'm very happy, very proud of each and every one of you who voted. And thank you once again. Again, it was close. It was very, very close. So, very exciting. Very, very exciting. With that said, I'm going to head up to the booth. I will be with you for game time. Coming up at 7 o'clock, puck drop is coming up soon. Make sure that you're watching on Flow Sports if you are not at the game. If you are at the game, you better listen. If you are at the game, I want you making noise. Okay? No more sitting on your hands. You get up there and you make some noise because these guys feed off your energy. If you're making noise, they're making noise on the ice. Let's get to it.